And welcome to The Truth Will Not Be Silenced, the show that allows Black people to be seen, to be heard, and to be human. I'm your host, Melissa Woodfork White. In today's episode, we will talk about Black love with Moses Powe. We'll discuss the controversial topic of Black love and its importance that needs to be shared, that allows us to be seen, to be heard, and to be human. As a Black professional woman with over 28 years in the workforce, I have known Black love watching my parents growing up, whom had been married for 52 and a half years before my mother passed a year ago, and the challenges they faced growing up post Jim Crow laws and during the civil rights movement due to the color of their skin. Sharing our stories allows us to be seen, to be heard, and to be human. There will be a special surprise at the end of the show. Be sure to listen all the way through for the details. Our guest today is Moses Powe. Moses is an author and CEO of Poem Publishers, LLC. His life has been one of focus, dedication, and distinguished service in mental health counseling. Understanding the importance of giving back, he has supported numerous social and public organizations throughout his life. He is a member of the illustrious Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and he has been an integral part of the American Legion's South Carolina Palmetto Boys State Program for over 25 years. Moses holds multiple degrees, from a bachelor's degree in psychology from Howard University to a master's in counseling psychology from Argosy University. He is a licensed clinical professional counselor and clinical supervisor in the state of Maryland. Moses is going to share with us about Black love. Hi, Moses. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Glad to be here, Melissa.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness, it's been so many years. I'm not seeing you in person since the 90s.
Right. So, we've seen so much about Black love. We have experienced Black love for ourselves through many different lenses as it has transcended from past, present, and today. And so can you describe for us Black love?
Yes. I want to first start by saying, just hearing you talk about your parents' love of 50 something years being together. And unfortunately, I did not have that. My parents, I was born to a teenage mom, young dad. And so my grandmother raised me and my step grandfather until he passed when I was 8. So when I think about what does Black love mean to me, I think of a sacrificial love, that there's a journey that you go through that's about making sacrifices. My grandmother watched my grandmother take care of my step grandfather as he was transitioning with cancer, hospital bed in the room. It is, I think about, Black love is committing to someone who has to deal with the similar systemic issues because of the color of your skin. Black love is working through that along with regular relationship issues. That's Black love to me.
Yes, and you've touched on a few things. The most important thing is that it's multiple things in what Black love represents, depending on someone's experience. And you touched on that when you talked about your grandmother's love. That's
yes.
Right there, baby.
Yes. And so when I saw the sacrifice, not only did she make to bring me into, her household, but taking care of my step grandfather, I wanted that. I think I found that, I know I found that, not think, with my wife, Blythe. And, we've been married for over 15 years together, like 17 years. But I think about our journey. It's a journey of sacrifices. It's not just one big sacrifice. Oh, you get married and now, everything is lovely. No, it's a journey of sacrifices.
And I know you've heard this about it's easy to have a wedding.
Oh, yes.
But it's challenging to be married. And I know I don't have it right, but that's, with the fascination of getting married at a certain age, having a family, having kids, they leave out the fact of what you just said, that takes work, that takes commitment, that takes that special bond that you and your spouse, your partner for life, your best
Yes.
friend, your lover that you share. And so you've already touched on leading into our next question
Yeah.
about your special
Yes.
16 years life. And so I want you to tell us what is so special about your Black love?
Yes. And going to what you just said, we had a conversation during our engagement, a lot of conversations about, when we got to frustrating parts of, do we want this at our wedding? Do we want to have this person and not have that person at this table and this location? That list
can't sit together, so we're gonna have to on opposite sides of the room.
Yes. And we really had to keep reminding ourselves that this is a day that, we're in this for the rest of our lives. And so we can't get caught up in what's going on during the day. I met my wife. We were members of the same church. And we were singing in the choir together. And one time, there were two other people, another couple who was on the choir, and we were all supposed to go out for dinner. They backed out, were not able to come. And so my wife was like, they can't come. Well, my girlfriend at the time, or we weren't even dating at the time.
A choir friend at the time.
A friend, yes. And I remember saying to her, just because they can't go don't mean that we can't still go. And so I remember that day, and going out to this restaurant called Bugaboo Creek, and from there, it began. And I think the sacrifices and being there started presenting right during the engagement period. There was trauma, tragedy that happened in my family 2 months after getting engaged to my wife, and then, because I am someone who likes to deal with things internally and process things internally, having her there and to let me know that, what, we're in this together. I have your back, that really helped me to see that, listen, this is someone who's going to be making sacrifices, who's here for the long haul, be on this journey with me. I think Black love is special because it represents, what's good from our culture. I work at a reentry and sanctions center for criminal offenders, and the media and the world a lot of times talk about that population, about a lot of them have committed heinous crimes, and there's recidivism levels high. They're in and out of the prison system, and from single parent homes or broken families, or whatever you want to call it. And so there's not enough attention focused on love. Yeah. And so Black love is special because we represent what's good from the culture. We show that we're committed to one another, we're committed to our community, that that we are, we're raising our kids, we're involved in the school system, we're educated, we're involved, and so to me, that's why our Black love is special, because we know what we represent, and we know the challenges that we face from the external pressures of, trying to show people that that's not all, Black love is not just blackness isn't about brokenness.
Yeah, I'm Black and I'm proud.
Yes.
That is Black love too, but that's not all what it's about.
Yes.
That's right. It stems beyond that, and having that companionship, the loving relationship, the supportive relationship, the trials and tribulations, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yes. And so, I have to ask you, did you know on that first date, because it was unofficially a date, when the other two people didn't show up, it was an unofficial date. Did you know on that date that she was going to be your forever?
I absolutely knew that. And, people say that all the time, but this is true. And I'll tell you why it's true, because we dated maybe about 6 months before I proposed to her. So we started maybe like in May 2005. We went, and I proposed to her in February of 2006, and we got married in September, 7 months later. and have been together, like I said, going on 16 years now. So we actually started talking about wedding plans and rings and children and our future in those early dates. And people like, you all are looking at rings, you just started dating. And so we knew. When you know, you know.
I'm gonna tell you something. So my husband, he knew that when he saw me that I was it. I didn't know that he was it because I married a British bloke. So he's born and raised in British. He's born and raised in Britain.
Yes.
And so from the day we met, September 2012, almost 10 years later, he knew. He was like, I have to meet her. She's it, and so forth. And me, I was like, dude, I'm tired. I'm sick. I just want to go back to my room and go to sleep. Now, mind you, we were both on vacation in Las Vegas. So he had came out from England. A lot of people from England come out to the United States for their holidays and vacations. And so he was in Las Vegas. And that's when I had met him. And I'm like, it's going on 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm with my sister girl. I'm ready. If it wasn't for her, I probably would have missed out on my love.
Wow.
I say that to mean that I was so tired, Moses. We just had left the club celebrating my, 36th birthday? It was 35 or 36. You know, math ain't my thing, business.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yes.
So, but yeah, and so we had left. And so the only place that was open on the strip, of course, was McDonald's. Nobody wanted to eat McDonald's, but we was all hungry. And so I was like, I just went into McDonald's to get me some chicken nuggets and some fries. And I just wanted to eat and go back to the room to sleep. My flight was leaving the next morning at like 7 a.m. And mind you, it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning. My dogs are barking. I'm ready to go. My girlfriend was like, my sister girlfriend, she was like, Melissa, just be nice. And I was like, I'm tired. Just be nice. And so I said, okay. And so he came in and he sat right next to me in McDonald's and was like, hello, how are you doing? And started up a conversation. Now, mind you, my sister girl was on the other end. So he didn't see me doing like this. And for I know everybody on the video can see it, but I turned to my sister. He saw the back of my head because he was sitting on the other side. And so he couldn't see my facial expressions, and so I would turn back to him and I was like, oh, okay, you know how you do. Yeah. So it was one of those moments. I almost missed out on the man who God had for me, who I had been waiting my entire life. Because notice, I was in my later age because I was not going to settle until I knew that was who God had for me. And so that being said, for my husband, my future husband, my husband now, to know that when he saw me, that I was it. It was something else, but it was my girlfriend that I did not miss out. And I was nice and I was polite and we exchanged information. And as you can see, the rest is history.
It is so cute that your first adult date was at McDonald's.
Honey, let me tell you something. You as well as I know, Vegas don't sleep. But at that time, there are no restaurants open at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And when you're on the strip, the only thing is open at McDonald's. And the thing about it is, me and my husband laugh about it now because we both didn't want McDonald's, but we both went in there. And lo and behold, here we are to this day.
Yes.
So it's just like, and I'll tell you, you know, you had a different encounter with growing up with Black love because you first experienced that with your grandmother.
Yes.
Me, as my parents was married at a young age. My dad is a dad's girl. I have 4 sisters. My oldest sister is 54 years old.
Wow.
And so with that, and there's like almost a 10-year age gap there, 8 to 10-year age gap there. And so my dad took us on our first dates. My dad opened the door for us. My dad showed us how he treated my mother, how a man is supposed to be a woman. And so he set the table. My mother set the table. And so we had that growing up. And so, and we didn't know the struggles because during that time, children, as you would know, we didn't hear the arguments, at least in my household. We didn't hear my parents argue. I didn't hear my parents argue till I was like a sophomore or junior at Howard University, honey.
Yes.
And so that's how old school traditional, you know, marriage is.
Yes.
And there wasn't a such thing, Mo, as divorce. It was never an option. My parents had their struggles. We hear about it now in our adulthood, but we didn't see that when we were growing up, because my parents understood that certain things children should not see and hear at a young age. And so with that being said, we had that growing up. And so we knew how a man is supposed to treat a woman, how a man is supposed to love on a woman. Let me tell you something. From day one, my husband opened that door. He still opens that door. He don't walk past that door. He'll walk all the way around that car just to open that door for me, okay? Pull out my chair, the whole night. It's just natural. And even though he's from England, he grew up the same way. So we're talking about two different Black man, Black woman growing up in two different countries, in two different cultures, and still having that same experience, because my husband is older than me.
Yes.
And so with that being said, it's special.
Yes. And your path or your upbringing is very similar to my wife. Her parents married 50 years, father, pastor of a church, mom, first lady. So there were expectations, right? It's the traditional process. You come and ask for my daughter's hand in marriage. You hold the door for me. And so although I didn't have that all of my life, it's what I wanted. So I was always looking at people and observing and picking up and seeing like, look, I want that. And that's what you need to do in order to maintain Black love. And had she not met me, because she's fascinated with British. I mean, we've been there several times. She would be married to a British man. Here's
the funny part, though, Mo. I'm glad that you brought that up. Is that I always knew, because I'm an international traveler. I always knew that I was going to marry somebody that wasn't from America.
Yes.
I always knew that, because I was just like, most of the people that I know, they don't travel. Most of them don't even have a passport. Most of them ain't never been outside of their home state or the United States.
Yes.
And so that's how I knew that, because I like traveling the world, and I have traveled the world, and my husband has traveled the world too. And then we met while we were traveling. And so that's how I knew that I was going to marry somebody that was from another country. Now, I didn't know if they were going to be Black, white, or whatever. I just knew that because of my love of traveling and wanting to see the world and experience new things, new cultures, new languages, new everything, outside of my American upbringing, that I knew that I would eventually, and so be it. But once again, he was raised the same way. He asked for my dad's hand. He asked my dad's permission for our hand in marriage, but ours is different. See, my husband knew on day one, and my husband's older than me, right? This is in 2012, right? He knew on day one. So come 2013, it's 2012. Yes, come 2013. We were commuting, because I'm an international traveler. The thing about it is that 10 years prior to that, he had already had his American visa where he can come and stay over here for 6 months and then go back. And so that, he liked coming to the United States and visiting and then going home. And so with that being said, I promise you, we met September 2012. He knew then. I didn't know until a year later that he was it. And I told my mother, he's it. And I said, he's going to ask me to marry him. He's going to say it. And so the next time that we visit each other, I actually went to England, and I believe it was in October. My husband knows this story better than me. Can you believe that? In October of 2012, he said that when I came off that plane, that was it. He said, I'm going to marry you, and you're going to be my untraditional. It was no down on one knee. It was, I'm going to marry you, and you're going to be my wife. And I said, yes. I said, yes. And then you want to know something? You thought that you knew, he knew, because we were married in January of 2014. Not even 3 or 4 months later. And you want to know when he got down on his knee? Let me tell you when he got down on his knee. When he actually gave me the ring, because when he said that we were going to get married and he was going to make me his wife, he hadn't had the ring. And so when he came to the United States, because we were planning the wedding. And so when he came to the United States for Christmas, that same December, he brought the ring with him. And so, mind you, now this is untraditional too, Mo. Let me tell you what he did. I'm like, I know he got the ring. We didn't go on a whole day. Why hasn't he given me this ring? All going on in my head, and me talking to my mother. I'm like, Mommy, he has the ring. Why hasn't he given me the ring? Let me tell you something. He waited till almost bedtime, comes out, waited till I go into the bathroom because I was getting ready for bed. When I come out the bathroom, he down on one knee with the ring in his hand.
Oh,
now,
wow.
how untraditional is that? Now, this is what I will say, Mo. We see all these videos, all these fascinating videos about these parties and how, and I'm just going to tell you that's not reality to me.
Yes.
That's not how it happens. That's how they want you to think it happens. But no, child. I was getting ready for bed.
Yeah.
I came out of the bathroom, he down on one knee. I hollered. When I say I hollered, everybody heard me. I hollered. And that the ring was and that's, I'm telling you, non-traditional.
Yeah.
Non-traditional.
And you're so right. This the music playing and the people saying
you have everybody
surprise.
There.
Yeah. No.
And you're properly dressed, hair, nails done. No, it didn't happen like that. I was getting ready for bed. And he waited until I came out of the bathroom. So that is something that and what he said is that you will never forget that.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. He was so right. Because, and then the other thing too, is that he was like, he didn't want to be like everybody else. We could have planned the whole engagement party, had all of our family and friends there, had our hair and makeup and everything done, had our professional photographer. We could have did that too, but that's not what he wanted. That's not his style. Yes. And you know what? Let me tell you something. Do you care that I was in my bathrobe or whatever when he gave me? All I cared is that he finally, after a whole day of being with our family and so forth, he finally gave me the ring. And then here's another part too, Moses, is that I didn't know if he was going to do it in front of family.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so when he did it, he waited till I came out of the bathroom, like getting ready for bed and so forth. And so, and my parents are old school tradition. You can stay in the house, but you stay in separate bedrooms. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so I'm coming out the bathroom, and here he is on one knee. Now he's still dressed. And I'm telling you, we'll never forget it. We'll never.
Yes.
He made many more memories. But I love the fact that it wasn't something that we had planned. I love the fact that he did it on his terms and how he wanted it, and he made it where I will never ever forget it. Do you think I will forget that I was getting ready for bed in my room and my future husband is outside the bathroom on one knee with my ring in his hand?
Yes.
I will never forget that.
Listen, I'm telling you, listen, my wife, I told you we had already been planning and talking about, our, wedding and, we want to get married and all that stuff prior to the engagement. And so we had picked this church because in my mind, I was like, okay, I want to propose outside of the church where we're going to get married. Oh. So I wanted to go see this church, right? So she had set up this time for us to go see this church. The lady who she scheduled it with said, we just got our floors done. It's not a good time to come and see the church today. We're going to need to reschedule. I was like, I still think we need to go. She was upset with me. She's like, we need to be obedient to the woman of the house of the Lord.
Go ahead, Mike.
So I'm like pushing it because I'm like, I need to propose to you. This is how I'm going to propose. So she in the car with the attitude and head turned, and it was raining, so it was like,
oh my goodness,
and she's pissed off with me, and so we get to the church, and then this is the church. She was like, attitude the whole time. Then I dropped down on one knee, and she just broke down crying. She, And so it's like, it's not even about going in the church. We're going to be respectful of what the woman said, but I wanted to propose for you at the place where I'm going to marry you. Yes.
Look, even the reaction was different. I said, I hollered. I hollered, and I said yes over and over again. I hollered, and she cried.
Yes.
So everybody's experience is different, but men, Just like
Yes.
you and my husband, Nathan,
Yes.
you did it on your terms because you
Yes.
wanted to make it memorable. And you didn't
Yeah.
want to make it like what is fashionable or what is
Yes.
on the internet and social media and around the world. You wanted to make it real.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that is so awesome. So next question, Mo.
Mhm.
Oh, I love this. Next question. How has recent events changed Black love for better or worse? And this deals with how we are perceived in the media, the news, in social media,
Mhm.
showing Black love.
Yes. Yes. I think it has really been challenging because there are people who are a lot of couples who want to emulate what they see on television in these
Mhm.
celebrity relationships. I remember when we first got married, we used to love this cooking show with Pat and
The Neelys.
G and the Neelys.
I watched it. Yes, I knew what you were talking about.
Oh,
Absolutely loved it.
they were so in love and cooking together and celebrating each other and all that love talk.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, they're getting a divorce. And then you find out years later they had been separated when they were
The
filming
whole
that. They were
time
separated
of the show,
the whole
I
time.
read it and I couldn't believe it.
Yes. And so that was the first time that we really realized, like, look, Black love, what you see on television, is not what you should be trying to emulate. You really need to look to people in your community, your family, your parents. You look at your grandparents, and recently this Will and Jada Smith stuff, like, you think, oh, this is the Hollywood picture perfect marriage. And,
But we
they've
could
had,
go back to Beyonce and Jay-Z and that elevator
yes,
scene, and you're
yes,
like, oh my gosh, is this what Black love is all about?
yes,
And so, and you know what? We're not going to talk about what actually happened, but we're just talking about how the media portrays Black love.
yes.
How it seems that we would see that more, the negative on
Yes.
Black love, than we would see the positive.
Yes,
Because
yes.
when you think about it, the Obamas,
Mm-hmm.
they are role models for Black love.
Absolutely.
Okay? But we don't always see and hear about them.
Yes.
But as soon as that elevator scene happened between Beyonce and Jay-Z, it was world news. And it was like, it was a negative light on Black love.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then the slap heard all around the world.
Yes.
It was a negative light on Black love.
Yes.
And we don't hear enough about, Denzel Washington and Pauletta Washington.
Yeah.
Hear enough about these are the epitome of Black love in entertainment, media, and industries. And so, and let me, Samuel L. Jackson and LaToya Richardson, they don't get enough credit.
Yes.
Because we don't hear their stories. These stars that I just named that show us Black love on the big screen, in the media, they don't get enough credit, to the point that we don't always hear their struggles. Yeah. They all have They all have stories in which they struggle. That is Black love, Mo.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You said it at the very beginning of our conversation.
Yes.
The struggles that you go through.
Yes.
And overcome together.
Yes.
That is Black love.
Yes. So you can't look at the final product of 10, 15, 20, 25 years of marriage. What was the journey like? What did you all overcome together? What were the disagreements? I mean, I get, we don't see it because it's not for the world to be in all your business.
Right.
But you need to know that Black love is enduring. It is overcoming so many different things, and it strengthens your marriage because you've overcome those things together.
Well, there have been a couple movies made that do demonstrate Black love, but we need to see more positives of it in the mainstream. That is just my thought. That is just my perspective. That is my opinion. Because as a Black woman, I would want, now one, we can't emulate, like what you just said, what we see, but then what we're seeing is more negative than positive. And so with that being said, I want to see more Black love stories. One of my favorites, Love Jones. Boy, I can recite that blues for Nina.
Yes.
I tell you, I said Lorenz Tate, he did that thing. And then when you see about, we do have a few, The Best Man Holiday.
Yes.
But we just don't have enough. And then I don't know about you, we saw Black love, and yes, I'm gonna say it because I grew up with it, and I'm not promoting anything. I'm not taking anything from anyone. But prior to the Bill Cosby situation, that was Black love on TV.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Cosby show. It was.
He was my television dad. I wanted them as my parents, Bill and Claire. And so from that, and Family Matters and Good Times. Good Times is something that really showed the sacrifices, the struggles that they made, and still had integrity and love for each other and cared about their children and stayed there with each other no matter what. That's the Black love that we don't see enough of.
Right. And so that's what I was going to ask you, just in your opinion, your perspective, just Mo, do you think that we have any shows that have that type of longevity of showing us Black love on TV? I mean, we've had shows to try.
Yes.
But I just don't think that they have that. They've been able to make it to that longevity, the Cosby Show, Good Times, and Family Matters and so forth. I mean, they were on for like 10, 15 years on, and we were hopeful about Blackish, but what is it? After how many seasons? They just had their last episode.
Yes.
That was the only one that I can recall, Mo, that was on TV that represented that Black love, and now it's gone. So what do you?
Unfortunately, I agree that a lot of the sitcoms that we saw that really showed us the in and outs of Black love and families, we don't see those anymore. A lot of it is reality TV based, and with that is to show the drama of the relationships. I applaud people like Oprah who are, doing these shows about Black love now. And so hopefully there'll be more of that. But as far as what we grew up on, there's not a lot of that. And this new generation has nothing to really inspire them.
We appreciate the effort, but there's nothing around that.
Which is why it's up to you and I and our spouses to, like I said in the beginning, to be the representation in our communities and show that Black love in our communities, because they're not going to get it from television, unfortunately, like they used to. So we have to be the example.
And I'll tell you this, Mo, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, is that when people see us with our spouses, with our families, like me and my husband, we definitely old school. We hold hands. Hold hands. We don't care if we're in our house.
Yes.
Hold hands outside, even living in England. And it's the same here in the United States. When people see us holding hands, they come up to us and they say, it's so nice to see that, because we don't see that often. And it's not just Black people.
Yeah.
It's people of all colors that have come up to us and says, oh, it's so nice to see, a couple, in love, holding hands and so forth, what they don't see. And it's just like, for me, it's just natural, because that's what I grew up with. My dad did that. My mom did that. And so forth. And so, and it's just automatic. My husband would have just, if I don't take his hand, he will take my hand like, like this is my and me to him, that's my husband.
Yes.
So you are so right. We are that representation in our communities. We are that representation in our families, to our children. And me, by being a veteran educator, my husband would come on field trips with us. And so my school children would get to meet my husband, and they were like, oh my gosh. And then they would see that Black love. And even my colleagues, when my husband would come to me, see, my mother used to do this with me, but when we moved out to Phoenix, it was my husband. So my mother, living in Atlanta, my mother would always come with me to set up my classroom and so forth. And then we moved out to Phoenix, my mother's not here. And so my husband started coming with me to set up my classroom. And so the near fact that, and yes, my husband would have to take a paid day off to come and support me, but going back to what you said and what we're in agreement on, that's what Black love is. And so with that being said, he would come and help me set up my classroom. And then we would walk around holding hands every time we passed. And then my colleagues would be like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen that in so long. Thank you so much. And so they would see that, because when you see them with their spouses, and it's not a comparison, it's just an observation.
Yes.
Because I've met my colleagues' spouses. They're not as intimate. They're not as, and it's just my observation. But when they see us, me and my husband, we lovey-dovey.
Yes.
We hands locked.
Yes.
You know, it's holding open the door. It's the whole nine. It's not just because I got to the door first. My husband is like, don't even touch it.
Yes.
I got it. And so those examples in our community, in our profession, in everywhere that we show that Black love. And I'm just, Mo, thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh my God, this has been great. Thank you.
I have this episode. This is going to be one of my favorites, talking about Black love.
I can't wait to hear it. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you so much. And I appreciate you sharing your wife with us.
Blythe. Yes.
For over the past 17 years, and what Black love is and what it means to you, and just sharing your Black love with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So next week, we will continue to discuss controversial topics about race and have conversations about personal and professional experiences with racism, love, loss, employment, and education. Stories that need to be shared, seen, and heard that makes us human. The truth will not be silenced. To be seen, to be heard, to be human. The surprise. If you like and leave a positive comment about this show, you will get a shout out. This includes businesses, products, services, organizations, and events. Following the link in the show notes lets Buzzsprout know that we sent you and help support our show. Buzzsprout is the best way to launch a professional podcast. Want to ask a question, be a guest, or subscribe to this podcast? The truth will not be silenced. Click on the show link. Thank you for joining us on today.